attachments, man. And about to put a video together called the 5 Civilized Tribes. But along the way to the 5 Civilized Tribes, I'm gonna show you that the Northeast and Southeast tribes was all Negroes. Alright? Now, just to start it off first, let me show you. Alright. Alright, this is Southeast right here. Alright. So it will be Virginia, North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Mississippi, Louisiana. What would it be? Arkansas, Tennessee, and Kentucky. Alright. Now, I'm also going to paint another picture because when I did research on where most of the pyramids at, most of the pyramids is on this side of the side of the state. Even though that they did find some in the Grand Canyon, but most of the pyramids are on this side. So this is the Southeast tribe, all right? Now this is the Northeast. Alright, so these are Northeast states. Alright, so this will be, I believe, Maine, New Hampshire, Vermont, Massachusetts, Connecticut, Rhode Island, New Jersey, Delaware, Maryland, PA, and New York. Alright, so this is Northeast. Alright, so I'm going to start it off with this. This is the article I got from brother NY Supreme. He sent me this, and I actually used it in one of my other videos, but I'm going to start off with this just to show you the 2 different phenotypical people that they found here, alright? Now, read the article before, if you want to check it out. The DNA of a 12,000-year-old skeleton helped answer the question, who was the first American? Alright, so it talks about a young girl named Naya that they named. They found in the Hoya Negro in the Mexican Yucatan Peninsula. Alright, they found her in the cave. They said that her remains were, I guess, different from your modern day Native Americans. Alright, so I just want to read these 2 little brief paragraphs and then I'm going to get on. Alright, so it say, but in there lies a puzzle. Modern Native American closely resemble people of China, Korea, and Japan, but the older skeletons do not, said archaeologist, paleontologist James Chatter, lead author on the studies and owner of Applied Paleoscience and Research and Consulting Service based in Bethel, Washington. Alright, so it's telling you right there that's, we could call them all Asians, Chinese, Koreans, and Japanese. They're all Mongoloid, they're all Asian descent, alright? Or Mandarin, whatever. I mean, I guess Mandarin would be a language, but Asian is a continent that they claim right now, or whatever. They would be all considered Asian descent, alright? So the next one says a small number of early American specimens discovered so far have smaller and shorter faces than larger. Smaller and shorter faces and larger and narrower skulls than later Native Americans, more closely resembling modern African, Australian, and South American people. And just remember, who else would they resemble? Okay, now these are made. This is probably half of the population with these 2 people right here. With the Asians and the Africans, Australian, South Pacific, that's probably half of the population, if not more. Okay, so now the only 2 groups we got left is Europeans. We got Europeans, which Europe would be all that, Spain, Portugal, all that would be Europe or whatever. And then we got India, which would be the Indians and all the different subgroups that come from India. Alright. Then also we got Hispanics. We know they ain't talking about no Hispanic people found here. They telling you that these people was either either Asian or they was Negroes, whether they was African, Australia, or South Pacific. So keep that in mind. All right, say this led to speculations that the first Americans, all right, say the first Americans. So what would the first Americans be named? Aborigines. They say and Native Americans came from different homelands, trying to continue on a migration from Asia at different stages of evolution. And this also, in this one, I'm also going to be pointing out the difference from the Aborigines and difference from the Native Americans and how you can tell the difference. All right. So they're telling you the first American. If Native Americans are the first people, then why would they be inquiring that somebody else came here first, or even putting that out there? Because they know the truth, they know the images. They got these images of the Aborigines, and that show you how they buried the Aborigines in history and gave life to Native American. And I guarantee you, if you were to really look back Native American history, you will not find no Native Americans prior to the Trail of Tears. They weren't even using that term, I believe. All right, I mean prior to that time. They call the first Americans would be Aborigines in 1828, and that was before the Trail of Tears. I mean, you do the research yourself on that, all right? So just remember, so there should not be no Europeans in no tribes if they telling you modern Native American closely resemble Chinese, Korean, and Japanese, which Chinese, Korean, Japanese don't look like Europeans, Africans, Australian, Pacific. Now, you want to say Australians now are Europeans. We know that they're not the real Australians, okay? They did the same thing they did over here, they did to Australia. Okay, so we know that they're not the real Australians. All right, the same thing like they're not real Native American. There should not be no white Native Americans if no white people is indigenous to this continent. So just put that out there. I'm gonna put this article in here real quick. I'm trying to speed because this is actually my 4th time trying to shoot this video. For some reason, and keep rejecting. It won't allow me. First time my computer shut down twice. Then my screen recorder will not allow me to record it. All right, so this is the United States history. This is the Indian War timetable. All right, so I just want to show you 2 of the tribes. All right, so we know Powhatan. All right, Powhatan was, remember they came in Jamestown 1605. They got into the wars after they captured them. We don't know what happened, or they more likely they broke out because they were trying to get more land or whatever. And then what happened was they came back. Remember in 1619 they tell you the first slaves came to Jamestown or whatever, which that might be true, but it might not be the number of slaves in which you might think. Okay, because how were they warned for 22 years and they was bringing slaves here at the same time? Okay, now it's telling you that the people of that colony, it was tearing Virginia up. So how were they growing stuff and cultivating things while they was warring? Okay, so that's the first one. You do your research on that. All right, so the Pequot tribe, the Pequot War. The Pequot will be the war. I mean, the so-called Thanksgiving tribe or whatever, and the Wapanaki too. All right, and both of them is in the regions of Connecticut, Rhode Island. We just showed you that's northeast. I just did a video on Massachusetts, which will show you that them tribes are already there. So look, so it said the death of colonists eventually led to the immolation of 600 to 700 natives. All right, so keep that in mind. It say the remainder, okay, the remainder were sold into slavery in Bermuda. Okay, so keep that in mind. So now they're telling you that they were selling so-called Native Americans in Bermuda. Okay, now when you say Native American, you should see people like this in Bermuda. You should see people who look like him in Bermuda. Do you see any people look like him in Bermuda? So I assume that they was the Negroes. Okay, they was already Negroes. All right. So we went here. All right, we're gonna go ahead. We're gonna read. Because being though I'm dealing on the civilization of 5 civilization tribes, 5 civilized tribes, I might as well show you what the colonists was doing at this time. All right. So I ain't gonna open. I'm just gonna read the best of my ability. All right. So initially, the white colonists viewed Native American helpful and friendly. They say they welcomed the natives into their their settlements, and colonists willingly engaged in trade with them. They say they hope to transform the tribes into civilized Christians. Okay, keep that in mind because it's going to come up later on. They say through their daily contact, the Native American resented and resisted the colonists' attempt to change them. Keep that in mind. Their refusal to conform to European culture angered the colonists. So the colonists was getting mad because they didn't want to conform to what they wanted them to be. It said hostility soon broke out between the two groups. It said the violence of their confrontation with the Native American resulted in a shift of English attitudes toward other races. Colonists blamed their failure to assimilate the Native Americans into the culture of racial difference and began to associate all people of color with negative characteristics. Remember, the Smithsonian Institute said that there were only two phenotypical people that they found here. One was Asian, one was Negro. Okay, I assume that these people was Negro. All right, so now we're gonna go down and read this right here just to give you another example. You don't, and just remember this. You don't see any so-called Native Americans that's Christians, okay? Because the Native Americans that's Christian right now don't know they're Native Americans because they've been so farly colonized and Christianized to where they don't even know. Their grandparents told them, yeah, you got Cherokee in you or whatever, but they forgot. And another thing I want to put on, right? Now, now look, if your grandmother and them still from down south, right? If you track back and see that your grandparents wasn't one of the tribes that was moved to Oklahoma. So she never moved to Oklahoma, then how did she know she was a Cherokee? Because the people stayed there and they just submitted to the will of the Christians and submitted to the will of the colonists and just went with the flow. But they still remained to tell their people that they was Cherokee and all these different numerous tribes. All right, so we keep that in mind too. All right, so it say some Native American tribes embraced the English and their culture. It say because doing so brought them prestige, wealth, and a strong military ally. They participated in English society by adapting the traditional skills to meet the military need of the colonists. At the same time, many tribes began dependent on their white allies and to maintain power over their tribal enemies. It said the two groups maintained peaceful relations as long as the Native Americans conform. Now these not Native Americans; these are Aborigines. As long as the Aborigines conform, all right. Because remember, they showed you two different. Remember, we want to always go back to Smithsonian Institute. Now that's something that I'm gonna keep because that's the Smithsonian Institute. They got people out here doing these $1 million excavations, so they know. They telling you that it was two people here, but they want to tell you that the African or the people that look like Negroes just disappeared. When we got images, Arnold Martinez seeing Negroes here when he came here, Vespucci, Verrazano, Columbus, they all said that was Negroes here. So we know Herman de Santos. So they were still here. Okay, so so it said Native American or Aboriginal American conform to English. I'm sorry. Social and religious practices. King Philip War marked the turning point in the colonists' acceptance of Native Americans, Aboriginal Americans. I'm sorry, my bad. I'm losing my train of thought. All right, they appreciated the success of their native allies, but they also feared it. They say their distrust of the friendly tribes resulted in policies and segregation and discriminatory laws. Now, segregation and discriminatory laws, okay? Where did you hear that from? The tribes that got disbanded was Negroes. Now, like I said, use your common sense, right? If you look on the census, there was no other groups of people here. So if a Native American didn't know he was a Native American, what would he be classified as? He wouldn't be classified as white, because if he looked like a Mongoloid, then it would be obvious that he was a Native American, right? Because they lying, you know what I'm saying? They lying about it. The people who, just like I told you, the tribes in Massachusetts that forgot who they was. The people, they telling that they shipped people from that region to Bahamas. You don't see no Native Americans in Bahamas. Who the people you see in Bahamas? More Negroes. And they were shipping you from the Bahamas to the Americas, from the Americas, all over, back to Europe, everywhere. That's why we see images of Native Americans in Europe, which is not Native Americans, they are Aborigines. Native Americans are Mongoloids, okay? Mongoloids and the so-called, I'm gonna say the, how do you say that? The tribes that bleached out, okay? They're Native Americans. The Aborigines are Negroes and the colors, all right? So, Alright, so segregation and discriminatory laws. Alright, so yo, I'm gonna stop this one here. Matter of fact, you know what? No, I'm not gonna stop. I'm gonna keep it moving. I'm gonna keep pushing through with this. See if I can keep on recording. Alright. Alright, so this right here, Native American culture, real quick. Alright, so look, these are the people they telling you that the people they found in the southeast, northeast. Remember I told you southeast, northeast tribes is all Negroes. These people didn't come apart till after the Trail of Tears. Okay, you do not see. And then how I'm gonna prove this is because I'm gonna show you all of the tribes. I'm gonna show you all of the so-called tribes that still left in the east and in the northeast. The Pequot, the Shinnecock, hold up, what I got up here? Let me see, hold up. I got the Lenape, Pequot, the Montauk, the Powhatan, and hold up. I'm gonna figure it out, man. I got it up here somewhere. All right, but I got the Shinnecock. All right. I just want to make sure everything is in order because I don't want my computer to start bugging. Alright, so these are what they show you the Native Americans, alright? Now, we know in the East, they did not find none of these people. They did not find these people until later on, alright? So we're going to read through this right here. So say many thousand years before Christopher Columbus ship landed in the Bahamas, okay? Now, they was already going to Bermuda in the Bahamas. It said different group of people discovered America, the nomadic ancestors of modern Native Americans. Modern Native Americans after the Trail of Tears, they say hiked over the land bridge, alright? So they say hiked over the land bridge. They say from Asia to now Alaska more than 12,000 years ago. They say in fact by the time European adventurers arrived in the 1500 AD, it say scholars estimated that more than 50 million people were already living in America. Alright, so this is telling you in the 1500s. So think about this, y'all. So they telling you in the 1500s they estimate that it was 50 million people already living here in this continent. So do you want me to believe that the 50 million people was these Mongoloids? Okay, we're going to get into this, all right? It say on some, it say, I'm sorry, of these, some 10 million live in areas that would become the United States. It say as time passed, these migrants and their descendants pushed southeast. So where did they start off? In Jamestown, and they pushed west. So when they say, well, hold up, they say they push southeast. All right, well, they telling you that these people, that they lying. This is how you gonna catch them, all right? It's saying that the Asian people, remember, came from Asia, the ones that they said Chinese, Koreans, and Japanese. They said that they pushed southeast. They said adapting as they went. They said in order to keep track of these diverse groups, anthropologists and geographic, they say have divided them into culture areas. They say on the rough grouping, the continuously people, contiguous, whatever people who shared similar habitats and characteristics. More scholars break North American, excluding present-day Mexico, into 10 separate cultures. All right, so remember that this is how they looked at it. And they break it up into 10 separate cultures. All right, so they say the Arctic, the subarctic, the Arctic and subarctic. All right, that's dealing with all of the so-called Mongoloids and the people of Siberia. All right, the northeast and southeast tribes are dealing with Negroes. All right, and the plains, some of the southwest and some of California. All right, I'm gonna say all of California. All right, because remember, they didn't have, when we looked at California, you look at the total, you don't see no Indians. All the Indians was all in Navajo and everything, and that's the reason why it was so easy for them to move them out there, because there wasn't nothing out there. That's the reason why they moved them out there. Ain't no land. People don't really want to live out there. You understand? So all right, so it's the northwest coast and the plateau. All right, so they broke it up into the 10 parts. I'm just going over northeast and southeast. All right, I'm not, y'all, you guys can look over these other the other tribes and where they was at if you want, but we're not dealing with them. We're dealing with the first people that came to Jamestown. They started in the east. The first 13 colonies was on the east coast, okay? Those first 13 colonies was not dealing, none of them was Mongoloid. They did not even see the Mongoloids till after the until after Lewis and Clark. They did not even, they ain't know nothing about no Mongoloids. The people of the East was Negro. That's why when you see these people in Virginia smoking these pipes, it's Negroes. When they dug up Seneca Village, they found pipes. Them was Negroes, all right? The reason why Negroes like smoke Black and Milds and like to smoke cigarettes because that was their indigenous practices. They was already doing that, all right? So I'm not reading this one. We're gonna go down to all right. Northeast. The Northeast coast is one of the first to have sustained contact with the Europeans. So they telling you the Northeast culture area was the first to sustain contact with the Europeans. So the Europeans did not see the Mongoloid. It say from present day Canada, Atlantic coast to North Carolina. Remember, it say inland to Mississippi River and Valley. Its inhabitants were members of two main groups, the Iroquoian speaker. It say these whatever, you know, you see Seneca, you see the Seneca right here, Seneca right here. It's saying, and it's the other side. It say most of whom live inland rivers and lakes. It's a fortified, politically stable villages, and the more numerous Algonquin speakers. It say these include Pequot, Fox, and Shawnee, and Wapanaki. Okay, remember these were the ones that we talking about in Massachusetts. All right, they say who live in small farms and fishing villages along the ocean. They say there they grew crops like corn, beans, and vegetables. What Negroes ate. All right, they say. All right, all right. So it say life in the Northeast culture already was fraught. Say with conflict of the Iroquoian group tended to be rather aggressive and warlike, and bands of villages outside of their allies with the Confederates. Okay, they say we're never safe from their raids. It's saying grew more complicated when European colonizers arrived. They say colonist wars repeatedly forced the reigning natives to take sides. They say pitting the Iroquoian group against their Algonquian neighbors. All right, so remember, they was basically putting them against each other. That's why when I was reading Power Hudson, Power Hudson got mad because they was dealing with other tribes that wasn't in his tribe, and he knew that they was warring with these certain tribes. They say meanwhile white settlers pressed westward. Okay, now white settlers pressed westward. Okay, that means they started in the east and west, and they went north and then went south, then went west. Alright? Alright, so the southeast. It say southeast coastal area. It say north of the Gulf of Mexico. It say south of northeast was humid, futile agricultural region. Many of its natives was excellent farmers. Okay, this is the reason why you got black people last name farmer. Last reason why in the 1900s black people was the only farmers and everything. That you did not see no Indians farming. Okay, say they grew staple corn like maize, beans, squash, tobacco, sunflower. They say who organized their lives around small ceremonial market villages known as hamlets. They say perhaps most familiar to Southeast indigenous people. Southeastern indigenous people are the Cherokee, the Choctaw, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, Creek, and Seminole, sometimes called the five civilized tribes, to say who spoke a variant of Muskegon language. All right, so it say by the time the U.S. had won the independence from Britain, Southeast coast had already lost many of its native people to disease and displaced. That's bullshit. The people they lost to displace were the people that was Christianized at that point in time. Remember, they said it was 50 million people here, so don't believe that. They say in 1830, the Federal Indian Removal Act compelled the relocation of what the remaining five civilized tribes so that white settlers could have their land. You heard that? It say the Federal Indian Removal Act compel the relocation of what remained of five civilized. So I would believe that the five civilized tribes was home, and the colonizers wasn't. But it said the five civilized tribes. It says so that white settlers, so they moved these people off their land so white settlers can have their land. It say between 1830 and 1838, the federal officials forced nearly 100,000 Indians out of the southern states, it's saying, and into Indian territory. Later, Oklahoma, West, and Mississippi, the Cherokee was called this frequently deadly track the trail. All right, the trail of tears, already know. So I'm not going to read no more of this. We already know this already. I'm going to get into the five civilized tribes now. All right, but you see, they telling you 100,000 here. Now, other places I read, they said it was 3,000 inside. When you read John Ross version and the other versions, it said it was only 3,000, or they say 3,000 of them died. But we know that if they said it was 50 million people here, ain't no 50 million people died because they didn't come in contact with the other people until after like the 1838, and that's like 100 and some odd years ago. All right, so all right, so where we at? Let me keep it moving. All right, here we go. All right, five civilized tribes. All right, this is the article I got. The other article I had, it wouldn't come back up for some reason. I don't know what. A lot of funny things been going on. So I've been trying to shoot this video, but I'm gonna keep it moving. All right. So, five civilized tribes. So we know all of these are amalgamated tribal. None of these are aborigines. These are Native Americans at this point in time. These are not aborigines. All right. They do not look like Powhatan. They do not look like the people who the Europeans sent to Europe, who do not look nothing like these people. You understand? Let's go. Let's read this. All right. And say, how different would it be since? I'm sorry. Let me start. How different would be the sensation of the philosophical mind to reflect that instead of examining a part of human race by our modes of population that we had preserved through all difficulties and at last imparted our knowledge of cultivating and the arts to the aboriginal of the country by which the source of future life and happiness has been preserved and extended, but it has been convinced to be impracticable to civilize the Indians of North America. The opinion is probably more convincing than just. All right, so it's a Henry notes George Washington. All right, five civilized tribes were a group of Native Americans or Aboriginal American nation that were officially and unofficially called such to collectively designate the Cherokee, Chickasaw, Creek, Seminole tribes. Seminole tribes. They say the term was applied by Anglo European settlers during the colonization of the early federal period, because these tribes had adopted many of the colonists' customs and generally had good relations with the white settlers. Remember what I said. Remember what I read in the other article. It said the term appears in the reports of the Indian Office as early as 1876, when the agents reported that the tribes had a constitution governed with legislative, judicial, and executive department conducted upon the same planes as as our state governments, the entire expenses of which are paid out of their own funds. However, at the time, there were no court of jurisdiction to try cases where an Indian was one party and a citizen of the United States or corporation was the other. Now keep that in mind. All right, they say these five tribes differed from most other, in fact, that the land were held not on the same basis of reservation, but by patent, and these with certain restrictions and alienations and reversions, as well as other restrictions regarding timber mining and grazing within the respective traits. All right, so say all of the five civilized tribes of the southeast. All right, so say all of the five civilized tribes lived in the southeast prior. Okay, I'm jumping again. All the southeast, all of the tribes lived in the southeastern United States before the government forced their relocation under the Indian Removal Act of other parts of the country, especially the future state of Oklahoma. The act signed into law by President Andrew Jackson in May 1830 required that all Native American tribes living in east of Mississippi relocate to land west of the river. They say over the next several decades, the five civilized tribes was relocated from their homes to the Indian Territory. Well, I tell you, Indian Territory, Oklahoma. That's why all of the Indians are all on one territory, except the ones that live like up in the northeast and some of the ones that live in the southeast. But for the most part, most of them live in that Indian Territory. All right, it said the title Chickasaw Nation. Hold up. I'm sorry, did I read the rest of that? I said during a series of removal authorized by federal legislation. All right, so they're saying that the federal legislation, which is the colonists, moved the indigenous people where they wanted to move them at. All right, so the title, the Chickasaw Nation, to their land in the Indian Territory was obtained from the Chickasaw in accordance with treaties with the United States, while that of Seminoles was obtained from the Creek tribe. They say the territory assigned to these five tribes within the limit of Indian Territory in present-day eastern Oklahoma was approximately 3,431 square miles. Now remember, y'all, all right, in all of these articles, I'm only deriving the knowledge from what I know or whatever, and I'm applying that to here. All right, so everything in here is not 100. So I don't think that I'm taking this article for everything for faith. I'm only taking out the information that we already know, that we can basically step around and put everything else together at that time. All right, so I'm gonna keep it reading. All right. So it says when the Civil War began in 1861, the five tribes was divided into politics, with the Chickasaw and Chickasaw fighting on the Confederate side. Now remember that the Creek and the Seminoles supporting the Union, and the Cherokee fighting a civil war within their own nation between the majority Confederate and the minority pro-Union men. All right, so keep that in mind. So they saying that they was probably fighting because the real Aborigines was like, nah, y'all ain't throwing us, because they probably was trying to throw them out, keep their own people at stake. And remember, a lot of these Europeans was the head of the tribe, meaning that a lot of people who you might think the original tribes was black. Remember, Powhatan had an afro, and all these other images, emblem of America, all these other images of people over here got afro. Okay, so when you start seeing these Europeans, because they are mixed with Aborigine and the colonists that came here. Remember, it was common for them to trade off one of their women, and they give you one of their women, and they was intermixing like that, to the point to where they got amalgamated like this, till you see these people that look like this, and you think these are Native Americans. Now, the Smithsonian Institute just told you that they only found 2 different phenotypical people here in the Americas, okay? So it's nowhere in the world these people are indigenous. But I digress. All right. So it say through the number of slave. I'm sorry. Remember, they had a civil war within. It say though the number of slaveholders was small. It say members of each tribe held black slaves. Now remember, the black slaves is really the indigenous people. All right. They was really the indigenous people, family members that they was trying to keep. All right, remember some of this you hear in 1830. What they had black freemen, right? Where did the black freemen go during the Trail of Tears? Because they telling you that they had slaves, and then later they freed them and became freemen. But at the 1830, at the same time, while they passed the Trail of Tears, you had black freemen at that time that had slaves. I read y'all off the list. Remember, all right? They said there was also free African Americans. See, they telling you free African American. That's bullshit. Free African Americans are basically might be our Aborigines that might have already converted to Christianity and been colonized at that point, and no longer are it's worrying about trying to take no land. It's just trying to work and just take care of his family. That's what they mean when they tell you free African Americans. Okay, say who live with them, especially especially the Seminole. Say many of these became known as the Black Indians. They say following the Civil War, the following government peace treaties with the tribe required the emancipation of states, guaranteed guarantee of citizenship in each nation. These former slaves became known as tribal freemen, such as the Cherokee freemen. However, we went over that. Um, brother Dane Holloway made a video dealing with something similar to that. All right, so it say the status of the freemen within the tribe because of the difficult ones. All right, so let me read that one time. Say, however, determine the status of the freemen within the tribes because a difficult one, even though in the Treaty of 1860 was agreed that they should be subject to the same laws as Indians, saying be entitled to a portion of the land and rights in different tribes. Okay, so the Chickasaw, for example, refused to automatically make their freemen citizens, instead requiring them to go through the same process as anyone else to gain citizenship. Say these requirements provided the citizen to be born of Chickasaw parents or to petition for citizenship. All right, so it's saying that they were trying to get them to petition for citizenship. It said if there was not known blood Chickasaw due to their refusal to automatically make the former slave citizen, they say, of their nation. The U.S. government penalized the tribe by taking over half their land without compensation. Do you hear this shit? Do you hear it? They telling you that if they was making, let me read that one more time. They say due to their refusal to automatically make former slave citizens, they say on their own nation, the U.S. government penalized the tribe by taking over half their land without compensation. All right. They say there were other issues within the tribes, such as school privilege, where in some tribes the freemen had separate schools and were restricted from receiving other privileges, though the United States government promised that all of the land of the 5 civilized tribes would be free of white settlement. Now, how would it be free of white settlements when the chiefs on the tribes are white? Okay? See, these people think you stupid. We just read the Smithsonian Institute said there was no Europeans here. And they just said that the people in the southeast were the first to come in contact with the Europeans. So what is that telling you? This is the reason why you see these tribes looking the way they look. All right, let me finish this up, man. It said, all right. All right, say though the United States government promised all of the land of the 5 civilized tribes would be free of white settlements, and this was not the case as thousands violated the policy. Okay, you see, tribes would be free of white settlement. This was not the case as thousands violated the policy. What happened? They built the KKK was established in the 1800s right after the Civil War. What they was doing, they was chasing black people off their land. This is what they've been doing. They was bringing these devils here, and that's what you see when I read during the time right before the Trail of Tears, they said that the Europeans came from Texas and then they was killing people for their land. What did they do after the Emancipation Proclamation? They was going through these so-called black towns, taking their land from people. Okay, so I'm gonna read that one more time. Say tribes will be free from white settlement. This was not the case as thousands violated the policy. Say in May 1890, the lands of the 5 tribes were abolished. They say provide each member with allotment of acreage. I believe how that's pronounced, acreage. In 1893, the government opened the remaining land outside the settlement. Say in 1807. The Oklahoma Territory and Indian Territory was merged into the former state Oklahoma. All 5 of the nations of the 5 civilized tribes continue to have a major presence there today. All right, so that's dealing with them. That's giving you a brief understanding. All right, Now let me just, I'm gonna run through these real quick, all right? All right. Now give me 1 second, y'all. Let me just get some water. All right. All right, here we go. All right, y'all. Now remember, all right. Now when you see some of the Cherokee tribes now, right? They white, right? Now remember, there was no white people here. They told you that the Northeast tribes were the first to come in contact with Europeans. So prior to Europeans, there was no white. Now this man don't look like a Mongoloid. He looked like he came in contact with a European, or he's a European mixed with Aborigines. So remember that when you see these white people in these tribes, and the only reason they showing you, look. Now, this picture right here can be deceiving because she might look like a Native American. I mean, she might look like a Mongoloid Native American. If she's Mongoloid Native American, this comes from the mixing when they sent them to the when the Trail of Tears, and they sent them in that Indian territory. Okay. Because, like I said, how do you got Indians that look like this right now? Figure like this. Your grandmother's family, unless they moved to Oklahoma, most of your grandmother's family or grandparents' family was already in that South, okay? None of them went to Oklahoma with the Indians and then came back and moved. They either stayed there and their family members submitted to Christianity and it was merged inside the society, which they was working and doing all the other stuff, trying to do for their family, and they forgot their tribal essence, okay? And this is the reason why they show you these people. Remember, they said, the Smithsonian Institute said there was only two type of people, phenotypical people here, Asians and Negroes, all right? That's the reason why you do see pictures like this, all right? Now, this can be a mixture of a black and a white person, all right? But remember, none of the original tribes wore this. When you show you the emblem of America, they show you all these tribes. These are all the tribes that moved after the Trail of Tears. That's the first one, the Cherokees, all right? Now, the Choctaw. All right, this is the Choctaw. And let's just find a couple images. Just I'm trying to hurry up and get this over with, man, because I've been shooting this video trying to get it done. Now look at these people right here. What? All right. Now remember, they told you the indigenous people of this country only came in two different phenotypical. The Europeans did not come here till 1600. So how did these people turn European to Chickasaw? Now, when you go down, you start seeing black Chickasaw, because these were the people who remember their damn family members. Now you see here. Now this lady right here is white and black. These are real Aborigines, right? These are Aborigines. Remember, you see the hair? This how long Indian hair is. They also you equate Indian hair that look like this. That's not, well, this can be actually an Aborigine and a black person. No, this can be an Aborigine and a European mix. Okay, this I don't. She could be a Mongoloid too, but we gotta really, like I said, when you look at these images, the real Aborigines was already classified as Negroes at this point in time. All right. So then we move to the creek. All right, and this is let me find some official creek. All right. I think this brother right. Let me see this. They get saying black and they ain't saying what tribe they from. So look. Now them Seminoles, alright? Now, it ain't supposed to be no Mongoloid looking Seminoles in these tribes, because see, they stole history. When they moved them into Indian territory, they found the remainder of the so-called tribe, the Navajos and all these other tribes that's out in the Midwest, and put them all on that territory, and they took the credit of what happened in the Northeast, because that's what happened first. The Northeast and Southeast, the people who suffer. These people ain't suffering nothing because they was given land and given and put off in better situations than they were initially. That's the reason why they accepted. And these are the people who keep your nationality and keep your status away from you, all right? Trust and believe that. Remember, Cherokees, the Cherokee, all the 5 civilized tribes was all in the Southeast. Alright? Once I go show you where the Southeast is at again. The Southeast is Virginia, the Carolinas, Georgia, Florida, Alabama, Tennessee, Mississippi, Louisiana, Arkansas, and Kentucky. All of these lands inhabited Negroes, okay? You don't see no Mongoloids in these lands, okay? Remember, let's read what Verrazano said the people in the Carolinas look like. Remember, this is the article. The article is titled "The Carolinas." Okay, this is Giovanni Verrazano. This is the Carolinas. Okay, now they telling you. Now he's not saying he found any people who look like Asians when he inhabited these people. All right. So here go. This is the article. I mean, this is the. Excuse me. Get some water. This is the passage right here that explains what the people look like he found. So these people go all together naked, except only having cover their private parts. It say with certain skins of beasts like until marten, it say which they fasten upon unto narrow griddle made of grass. Very awful with, rough, I guess, right, I don't know how to pronounce that word. It say hanged about the tail of diverse of other beasts which round about their bodies, hang dangling down their knees. Some of them wear garlands of birds' feathers. It say the people are of rustic, a color rusted. It say I'm sorry, y'all, I'm losing my train of thought. I gotta go pick the door up. All right, let me read it again. It say the people are color of rusted. I show y'all what color rusted is, brown. It say and not much unlike Saracens. So now remember, they showing you people that look like Mongoloid. So when you Google Saracens should look something like a Mongoloid, okay? And if it don't look like a European, then you know, all right, so what do a Saracen closely resemble? A Negro. What did the previous document, the Doomed Devisers, say? And it say enslaved the Saracens and the pagans to perpetual servitude. The Saracens was the Moors and the people. And this is a 1451. They expelled the Moors in 1491, 92, and then that same year is when Columbus came here. Remember that. Okay, that's the key thing. What you remember: the Saracens are the Moors. The Saracens are also Israelites. Okay, but they also look like Negroes. Okay, he said rustic. Talk about brown, so their hair is black, thick. Their hair is black and thick. Okay, where did I show you where did I show you? Look, their hair is black and thick. Okay, their hair is black and thick. Okay, what more should I say? Okay, it's telling you just gotta use your imagination. It's saying and not very long. Even though that's long, they probably go and say which they tie together in a knot behind and wear it like a little tail. How do you see black people? They put all this grease in their hair and then they tie their hair in one little like a pigtail. It say well now right. It say they are well figured in limbs. When you see the Native American women, how do they look? They look like, no disrespect to nobody. I'm not trying to disrespect nobody, but you see them, they don't look well figured, all right, in limbs. They say the average stature are commonly somewhat bigger than we. Alright, it say broad breasts, big chest. It say strong arms, their legs and other parts of their bodies well figured. They are disfigured in nothing, saving that they have somewhat broad vessels, broad visage. It say, and yet not all of them, for we saw many of them favored having black and great eyes. Okay, say cheerful and steady. Look, it say not strong. All right, they saying not strong, but that's bullshit. It say yet sharp witted. nimble, and great runners. Okay, now you don't see no Native Americans in the NFL. Okay, you don't see none of these people. You see brothers. Okay, now he's telling you they look like Saracens. So if you Google Saracens, Saracens should only look like Mongoloids. If they don't look like Mongoloids, and he's telling you that, remember what the Smithsonian Institute article said. There was two people they found here. They found the two phenotypical types they found here. They found the people who look like Chinese, Koreans, and Japanese, which they look like Mongoloids, which they think the Native Americans look like. Then they found people who look like Negroes here. All right, so when you Google Saracens, Saracens should look like Mongoloids. All right, look, I'm gonna stop this video right here. I'm gonna make a part, looking for part 2 to come later on. All right, peace.